All living organisms, be it cells, amoeba, plant, or human, crave for stability. Hence, it is mandatory for them to make sure that to utilize energy and ultimately to survive, we regulate our internal environment. In a simpler sense, it means to maintain the balance our body is used to being comfortable with. Our body is a storehouse of connection of interrelated reactions and mechanisms that make us who we are. We think that multiple systems work together to maintain a single physiological characteristic for the sake of homeostasis. Now, if we call homeostasis a game, there will be two MVP. These are the central nervous system and hormones. For example, if we are in a colder and warmer temperature, our body will work to make sure the temperature is feasible to adjust the body, which is normally 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. If we are in a very hot place, our body will overheat. Seeing this, the thermosensors in the skin and brain will trigger a chain reaction. This will cause the body to sweat and flush to adjust. Again, if we are in a colder place, our body will be freezing. It shivers and reduces blood circulation to the skin. If we somehow fail to go back to the normal temperature, it will gradually lead us to severe hypothermia. We will pass out and wave goodbye to the world. The example of the temperature is commonly used for this concept, but there are many little things this process can take care of, be it the pH of the blood, iron concentration per cells, and whatnot. If our body is in distress, the process will detect whether the distress is important for them to take seriously and are out of their normal range or not. If it is, the neurological system recognizes these abnormalities and sends signal to the control center, which is usually located in the brain as known as the headquarters. Muscles, organs, and glands are then directed by the control center to repair the disruption. In the language of the textbook, we will call this process a negative feedback. Another example of the negative feedback loop is how blood pressure is regulated. If there is a rise in the blood pressure, the receptor will detect it in the blood vessel because there will be a resistance in the blood flow and it will be hitting the blood vessel. As we know, our body likes stability. The receptor will want to reduce the flow. That is why the receptor will send official complaints to the brain to solve this matter. Brain, as an intellectual, will send their complaints to the effectors, which are called the heart or the blood vessels. The heart will then decide to decrease their rate and the vessel will expand in size and more in diameter. This will help to make the blood flow better and as a result the blood pressure will be back to normal. Beside negative feedback, another process works on deliberately exerting their effects, which is called the positive feedback loop. In this process, negative feedback loop in a sense wants stability, but the positive feedback loop wants us to grow and get out of our comfort zone in a simple sense. An easy example of this is how a fruit ripens in the tree. Another good example of this is childbirth. Here, when the baby decides to get out of the womb, they activate the stretch receptor in the uterus, and they will do it by pressing their head on the cervix on purpose. The neuron of the mother's breast suddenly realize it's time for them to be activated, and they will release oxytocin, which is a hormone in the pituitary gland. This hormone contracts the uterine muscle and continues to make the contraction stronger. And this will occur until the baby can see the sunlight. Here, the main thing to understand is the difference between the positive and negative feedback loop. It is that the positive feedback loop amplifies the process, and the negative feedback loop will reduce it. I said there are two types of people that make cookies. one who enters the kitchen and ends up making a cookie. But the kitchen will be a war zone. In this house of homeostasis, we will call them positive feedback loop. Another person makes sure everything in the kitchen will be neat and clean. There will be still enough ingredients for the moms, and they will be still be making the cookie. But hey, the environment of the kitchen must be neat. We call them the negative feedback loop. That being said, both of them make sure that there is a cookie, and that's what matters for homeostasis.